I don't know. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Let's talk about something else.
A courtroom went silent after a sealed video was played. And yes, it allegedly showed Kim Kardashian, Kanye West, and Diddy all tied to the same disturbing event. The judge was so shocked, she paused the trial. Why were Kim and Kanye even there? And what does this footage really expose? This is bigger than anyone thought, and it could shake up everything in Hollywood. Stay locked in, because what you're about to hear will leave you questioning everything.
I suspect that we're pretty awful people if we say that somebody got a mental illness and then we watch what they do. If you say somebody got special needs, then why would you be watching them and holding them accountable like everybody else? Wouldn't you grade them on a curve? Wouldn't you go, whew, this guy? Because, I mean, what are we reacting to? What are we reacting to? You're the one that put him in a position where he thought he was God and could call himself Jesus. And you're the one told a guy that writes musical lyrics that he was a genius. Mm-hmm. You're the one that's like, so what do you expect? The guy married a whore. Like, what?
Oh, Lord.
Like, I didn't mean it like that. I mean, married her because she was one. Not he didn't know. He understood that he wanted that.
The shocking moment in court, judge freezes at Kim K footage. No one was ready for this. In a courtroom already packed with tension, something happened that left people absolutely stunned. A sealed video, one that wasn't supposed to be part of the public evidence, was played in front of the judge, the legal teams, and the select few allowed inside. And within minutes of it rolling, the entire energy in that room changed. Eyewitnesses described the judge's reaction as visibly disturbed. She reportedly looked pale, took a deep breath, and called for an immediate pause in the proceedings. Some say she even whispered to a clerk before stepping back from the bench. What was in that video? According to insiders, it was footage linking Kim Kardashian, Kanye West, and Diddy to the same exact event. And not just any event. It's allegedly tied to the now infamous, secretive, and deeply controversial freak-off parties. People in the courtroom literally gasped when Kanye's name appeared in the clip. That wasn't just a surprise, it was a bombshell. His name had never been officially connected to Diddy's investigation before this. To see him mentioned in a sealed video side by side with Kim and Diddy, that wasn't just shocking, it felt like a full-on turning point.
Kim Kardashian is linked to the Diddy lawsuit. Yeah, Kim 24 hours before the raid unfollowed Diddy despite continuing to follow him even after the Cassie lawsuit was settled. Turns out Kris Jenner makes all of her daughters give 10% of their income to a church. The church is run by none other than Lou Taylor. So Lou is allegedly Diddy's manager, and Diddy is asking Lou to pay off the victims to keep them quiet. Lou is the one who put Britney Spears in a conservatorship, and while Kim was married to Kanye, she tried to force him in one too. And during these so-called conservatorships, the Guardian steals money from these celebrities and pays out victims through the church to make it seem like donations. And people think Kim is involved in the trafficking ring after her Balenciaga endorsement. Balenciaga was called out for advertising CP in their campaigns. Yikes.
And when the video cut off, silence filled the room. No one moved, no one spoke, because what they'd just seen changed everything. And that leads us into the one question now echoing across every platform. What exactly is in this video? What's allegedly in the video? Details, whispers, and reactions. Now let's break down what insiders say the video actually shows. First off, it hasn't been released to the public, and it likely never will be, but that hasn't stopped people from talking. From whispers inside the court to tips being leaked to blogs, the buzz around this clip is unreal. Sources claim the footage shows a high-end private party, one that matches the same timeline as the events under investigation in the Diddy case. In it, Kim Kardashian is allegedly seen in a secluded VIP section, looking calm but alert, surrounded by people whose identities are still being pieced together. Then, not long after, Kanye West reportedly appears at the same venue. That right there is what's causing the most chaos. Not just that they were there, but that they were there together and tied to Diddy's circle.
Saying is not correct, then how does she end up with Pete Davidson?
I mean, it happens all the time.
And what if you weren't even good enough for Pete and he leaves you? What do that mean the product was? No, I don't support or villainize Kanye because I don't understand what it is we want from him. I don't know why we look at a basketball player and say, he didn't score no hockey goals this whole season. He don't play hockey. Kanye don't say nothing I can agree with. Okay. He was the weird guy in the beginning with the pink sweaters when we met him. Like, what do you think moving to a beat of your own drum? This dude started a church and kept cussing. Nobody in black church said nothing. You would have thought all the pastors would have came. You can't be no gospel artist. You just said, fuck that bitch. Nobody said nothing. Because TD Jakes over there with P. Diddy. Like,
but come on, cat.
And it gets deeper. One person who claims to have seen the footage told a blog, it's not what Kim did, it's what she saw and what she didn't say. Another insider said this might be the first time actual visual proof exists showing A-listers at one of these freak-off style events. Something that's long been talked about but never confirmed.
Kim Kardashian is linked to the Diddy lawsuit. Yeah, Kim 24 hours before the raid unfollowed Diddy despite continuing to follow him even after the Cassie lawsuit was settled. Turns out Kris Jenner makes all of her daughters give 10% of their income to a church. The church is run by none other than Lou Taylor. So Lou is allegedly Diddy's manager, and Diddy is asking Lou to pay off the victims to keep them quiet. Lou is the one who put Britney Spears in a conservatorship, and while Kim was married to Kanye, she tried to force him in one too. And during these so-called conservatorships, the Guardian steals money from these celebrities and pays out victims through the church to make it seem like donations. And people think Kim is involved in the trafficking ring after her Balenciaga endorsement. Balenciaga was called out for advertising CP in their campaigns. Yikes.
The reactions have been intense. Legal staff reportedly had to leave the room. Some refused to comment afterward. Media outlets are scrambling for screenshots, and people are wondering if this video could blow open what's being called the cover-up behind the glitz. And of course, that brings up a much bigger question. If Kim was there, was she a victim, a bystander, or something else entirely? Witness, bystander, or something else? Here's where the silence gets loud. Kim Kardashian, one of the most media-savvy people on the planet, has said nothing. No statement, no denial, no clarification. And in a case this big, silence is not being taken as innocence. It's being read as strategy.
With Sean Combs, how he's gotten roped into this, because we're talking about North, okay? North is Kanye and Kim K's daughter. So what does that have to do with Sean Combs? And how is that affecting his trial, Sydney?
Nancy, it really has nothing to do with Sean Combs until that phone call dropped, until this leak of that phone call was exposed to the public. Everybody thought that Sean Combs was not touching Kanye with a 10-foot pole. I mean, we saw how quickly his vote of confidence in Combs turned into an anti-Semitic tirade just last month. So after that, you would think that Combs would have learned his lesson and stayed away. But it just highlights how isolated Combs is. He doesn't have any friends in Hollywood if he's having to turn to Kanye for friendship. So really, Combs doesn't need to be involved, but he involved himself by allowing that friendship with Kanye to continue. And their relationship has always been complicated, Nancy. So the fact that he's reaching out to Kanye is really telling.
So the question becomes, what role did Kim really play here? Is she a bystander who just happened to be there? A potential witness who saw something but didn't say anything? Or is this something deeper? Something that could change how the world sees her. Legal experts are already weighing in. Some say that depending on what she saw or knew, Kim could be called as a material witness. That doesn't mean she did anything illegal, but it does mean she might have crucial information that the court wants on record, especially if it's tied to an ongoing criminal investigation. People are also going back through old interviews and reality show clips, trying to connect dots. A resurfaced interview where Kim briefly referenced the crazy parties back in the day is now going viral. And not in a good way. One fan tweeted, "Was she talking about Diddy's parties all along? We missed the signs." At this point, it's not just about where she was, it's about what she saw and why she stayed silent.
And that's a great question. And there's a standard before you can get in front of a jury. We have a couple of tests. It's from case law. One's called Daubert, Daubert, and one is called Frye, Frye. Those are the standards. The judge must, before you can even allow this person to get in front of the jury, they actually have to be an expert. You just can't say I'm an expert in gum chewing. It has to be something that has scientific reliability to the community at whole. After the judge determines it has some level of expertise, the next thing they have to do is what's called a probative versus prejudicial balancing test. The judge has got to make a decision if this is actually going to be probative, helpful, or just prejudicial just to put information in there. For example, you could have a sex position expert. Yes, that might be science, might be expertise, but you just don't want to throw that in front of a jury. And third, and the most important thing, the judge has to make the decision, is it actually going to help the trier of fact? Because really, the funny part about it is, all an expert is somebody who knows more than you know. That's it. So we always make the joke that a fifth grader is an expert on everything in the fourth grade because he knows more than everybody in the fourth grade. And that's the standard. It's weird, but that is the standard.
And while everyone's focused on Kim, there's one name that shocked the courtroom even more when it popped up: Kanye. Just a cameo or something deeper? Let's be honest, no one was expecting to see Kanye West tied to this case. Not the public, not the media, and definitely not the courtroom. When his name flashed in the leaked footage, multiple people reportedly gasped. It was that unexpected. But now that he's in it, people want answers. Was Kanye just passing through? Was he attending the same event by coincidence? Or was he closer to Diddy's world than we realized?
They can put them in a hotel, they can pay for it so nobody can get to them, so they're not at home, because one of the big things we don't want is we don't want undue influence to a juror. We don't want people contacting a juror. We don't want Diddy's team. We don't want the prosecutor. We don't want anybody running into them at the grocery store, at the 7-Eleven, and be like, so what do you think about Diddy? You want them a free and clear mind, just focused on the evidence, which in 2025 is almost impossible.
Right, so they've got these jury questionnaires that they are going to meet up about on April 11th, meet and confer and come up with the questions, and then they're going to get 600 of them. They're going to be printed and distributed 28th, 29th, 30th of April and get the answers back. Then they've got these 4 lists that they present. Prospective jurors that both sides agree should proceed. Prospective jurors that both sides agree should be excused. And then ones that the defence but not the government want, and ones that the government but not the defence want. How do you then come to sort of a coherent understanding of who's going to be your jurors?
So they're going to send out these questionnaires that both sides and the judge can look at together. The defense would send what they want as potential questions, and the judge will say a lot, I'm not asking that, I'm not asking that, I'm not putting that on a questionnaire. The prosecution will send questions, I'm not asking that, I'm not asking that, I'm not asking that, because you can't ask in the questionnaire, do you think Diddy did it? Because that goes to the penultimate question.
Old photos of Kanye and Diddy have already started resurfacing. So have interviews, backstage moments, and even party appearances from the early 2010s. But now, with this leaked footage showing Kanye inside or near one of the questioned venues, the speculation is heating up. One source said, he didn't look confused, he looked comfortable. This comes at a weird time in Kanye's timeline too, especially after 2020 when he started unraveling publicly. Some are now wondering if certain things he hinted at about Hollywood secrets and controlled circles were actually real. The big twist? If Kanye knew about these parties or even attended them and never said anything, that adds a whole new layer to the narrative. Suddenly, his silence becomes just as suspicious as Kim.
When you want to get with your significant other and you just want to just get into that mood, that groove, it starts off and you can like dance together on some R&B music, and it's very extremely soulful, unapologetically sexy.
Yeah.
Sexy.
Okay? And then it just jumps right into just straight bam, bam, bam.
Okay, yeah.
It's crazy.
Are you saying you can keep rhythm to this?
You have to keep rhythm. And you know what we call it? This album is for the strokers.
And that naturally leads to the one name who's been tied to all of this from the beginning. The one whose inner circle keeps pulling people in.
One thing that really stands out that she says is that at one point Diddy had a knife inside her mouth and then says, I'm going to give you a Glasgow smile, which is, slitting someone's cheeks. But he's warned against it by a member of his team, saying Diddy's associates would prefer it if she, referring to Ashley, looked normal. She also says that they said to her, They could ship her off and sell her to anyone in the world and she'd never be seen again by her parents or loved ones. Now, Ashley did make a police report in 2018 at the time of the alleged incident, and the Contra Costa Sheriff's Department confirmed her report was thoroughly investigated and it was determined the claims were unfounded. Diddy's team said Mr. Combs was nowhere near Orinda, California on the day that she claimed she was assaulted. There's no evidence that Mr. Combs was ever even in the same room as the alleged victim. She's completely unbelievable and no sane person who views the evidence will credit her story.
Diddy's network. So now with Kim and Kanye both allegedly appearing in the same video connected to Diddy, people are finally asking what they should have asked a long time ago. Just how deep does this web go? Diddy has always been seen as a party king, a mogul, a connector, but now he's becoming known for something way darker. A man at the center of a growing legal storm tied to secret parties, gag orders, high-profile guests, and now sealed courtroom footage that might expose everything.
What celebrity was Diddy obsessed with coming to his parties but never actually showed up? Actually, the answer is two celebrities. And in addition to being celebrities, they're actually royals. Diddy's former publicist who worked for him between 2002 and 2004, he recently spoke to BBC News saying that Diddy was, quote, obsessed with Harry and William. During the time he worked for Diddy, he claims that he invited Prince William and Prince Harry to his parties over 10 times. He apparently even offered to cover their travel expenses, their hotel, and security, but Harry and William never accepted the invite. Diddy's former publicist claims that this obsession makes sense because Diddy used to think of himself as a king, so of course he would want Harry and William in his entourage. But like I said, clearly they never wanted to be a part of it. Alright, now I want to hear your thoughts on Diddy allegedly being obsessed with Prince Harry and William attending one of his parties. Let it out in the comments, and don't forget, for more trending news, follow us at What's Trending.
What the leaked video suggests is that this wasn't just about Diddy and his actions. It was about the entire culture he created. A world where A-listers, influencers, and powerful figures moved quietly, said nothing, and let things slide. One insider said it best: this is the first real crack in Diddy's armor. People always whispered, but no one ever had the receipts. Until now. And if this video is just the beginning, we might be looking at something bigger than one man, because suddenly Hollywood isn't just shaken, it's spiraling.
Yeah, so since KK has been kind of roped into this, because she was Diddy's right-hand woman, she's kind of not been really seen too much. I mean, there was pictures of Diddy the day that after he settled Cassie's lawsuit. He's like, the pictures of him are outside his Miami house. He's looking really stressed. And there's a woman there in a robe next to him. That's KK. But really, since that moment, we haven't seen too much of her. And she's been named in 3 lawsuits. One by a former producer who worked with Diddy on the Love album, a former executive assistant, Phil Pines, who we've spoken about at length on this podcast, and then a woman called Ashley Parham, who is in San Francisco. So she has not really been saying too much of anything until now.
Yeah, people were speculating that she'd gone missing because she did have public-facing profiles on social media, but those seem to have been wiped and her LinkedIn deleted. Now, Cheyenne, you've got a response from her. People have been reaching out to her for months and months trying to get a response. What has she said to you about her involvement or lack of involvement?
Yeah, so in a statement given to me at Rolling Stone, KK basically said that she's been dealing for months with these really awful allegations, and they're causing her family harm, they're causing her harm, and she definitively says, I've never condoned or abated and abetted the sexual assault of anyone.
Hollywood panic mode. The second this video surfaced in court, Hollywood's elite started scrambling. And we're not talking quiet PR adjustments. This was a full-on digital cleanse. Within hours, publicists, lawyers, and crisis teams were already on it, wiping anything that could tie their clients to Diddy, Kim, or Kanye. Posts disappeared, tagged photos vanished, interviews that once looked harmless were suddenly unavailable.
With the Sean Combs trial fast approaching, prosecutors are adding to their case, now hitting the former rap mogul with additional sex trafficking charges. ABC News' chief investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky is here with those details. Good morning, Aaron.
Hey, good morning, Janae. Sean Combs is set to go on trial 1 month from today, and the case against him just got a little bigger. This morning, Sean Diddy Combs faces 2 additional criminal charges a month before he's scheduled to stand trial in New York. Federal prosecutors charged Combs with an additional count of sex trafficking and an additional count of transportation to engage in prostitution. Both relate to an individual referred to in court papers as Victim 2. Combs previously pleaded not guilty to one count of each of those charges, as well as the most serious charge he faces, racketeering conspiracy.
For Sean Combs, the challenge in this new superseding indictment is that any one alleged victim could amount to serious prison time. He would have to disprove each and every one of the 4 alleged victims, because if even one is believed, he could serve life behind bars.
Combs now faces a total of 5 federal counts that could get him decades in prison if convicted. His attorneys are downplaying the new indictment, saying in a statement these are not new allegations or new accusers. These are the same individuals, former long-term girlfriends who were involved in consensual relationships. This was their private sex life, defined by consent, not coercion. But the indictment says Combs lured women under the pretense of a romantic relationship into engaging in sexual encounters. And when he didn't get his way, prosecutors allege Combs kidnapped a woman, flashed a gun, and dangled a female victim over an apartment balcony.
One celebrity gossip blogger said, "It's like watching people erase their past in real time." But here's the catch. The faster they try to disappear, the more suspicious it looks. Especially when certain A-listers who were known to party with Diddy suddenly started ghosting. No new posts, no public appearances. Some even unfollowed each other quietly on Instagram like we wouldn't notice. But fans did notice. And now those names are being dragged into the conversation whether they like it or not. Behind the scenes, the legal heat is turning up. Multiple sources claim legal teams have issued pre-litigation warnings, basically threatening lawsuits if more video evidence or private party details go public. That means people are scared, and scared people make moves fast. One PR insider told a podcast, "I've had 3 clients call me crying in 24 hours. They're not worried about rumors. They're worried about what's still out there."
A US judge has ruled that the rapper and producer Sean Diddy Combs will stand trial on federal sex trafficking and racketeering charges in May. He'll be held in prison until then. Sean Combs has pleaded not guilty to charges that he used his business empire to transport women and male sex workers across state lines to take part in recorded sexual performances. If convicted, he could face a life sentence. David Willis reports.
Among those present at the Manhattan courthouse, Sean Combs' 83-year-old mother, Janice, who earlier in the week sprang publicly to his defense.
Have you guys spoken to your father? Have you spoken to your father?
And other family members, including his twin daughters, Jessie and Delilah.
Christian, have you spoken to your father?
Hey, straight ahead, dog, straight ahead.
One of hip-hop's biggest names, the man who shaped the sound and culture of an entire generation, has spent the last 3 weeks in jail. Raids by heavily armed agents on his homes in Miami and Los Angeles in March this year led to federal charges of racketeering and sex trafficking. Combs, who is also facing a slew of civil lawsuits, has pleaded not guilty and blew kisses to family members in the courtroom before being led away. His lawyer has called the sexual activity described by prosecutors consensual, citing, amongst other things, the leak of this security video.
And it's not just Diddy's world they're trying to distance from. Some celebs who used to proudly post with Kim and Kanye are suddenly switching up too. It's guilt by association now. People aren't waiting to be exposed. They're getting ahead of the fallout. But even as the panic spreads in Hollywood, the legal pressure behind the scenes is getting even more real. Because if Kim and Kanye are in that video, the court could come knocking.
I'm Candy Whitworth here in Los Angeles, and we have breaking news right now on ABC News Live. A judge has denied bail for Sean Diddy Combs. Of course, this was the hip-hop mogul's latest bid for freedom as he remains in federal jail for his racketeering and sex trafficking case. The producer and rapper has pleaded not guilty to racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and prostitution charges. Combs was previously denied bail back in September as well. For more on this, I'm going to bring in ABC News legal contributor Shauna Lloyd, who's joining us on the phone, as well as ABC News contributor and SiriusXM radio host Mike Muse for more on this. So I'm glad to have you both here with us. So first of all, Shauna, let's jump here to you, because I'm curious at all if you're surprised by this ruling from the judge here again to deny bail to Sean Diddy Combs.
No, I'm not surprised by the ruling because, as she cited in her order, there are very serious allegations about the danger that he potentially poses to other witnesses and the public at large. There are allegations that he has, been violent with others. He's also attempted to allegedly intimidate other witnesses and still contact witnesses while incarcerated, despite having an order that says he's not supposed to. So under these types of conditions, we usually find that the judge will not grant bail in order to preserve the judicial system and the witnesses and ensure that testimony, people feel comfortable being able to come to court and testify without being threatened with violence.
What could happen legally? Kim and Kanye in the spotlight. Here's where things start getting legal. Fast, because now that Kim and Kanye are allegedly shown in sealed footage tied to a federal investigation, they're not just high-profile names in the press. They might be material witnesses. That doesn't mean they're being accused of anything, but being in that video at that kind of event at that specific time, that's enough for prosecutors to start asking questions. And if they refuse to cooperate, they can be subpoenaed, forced to testify. No more dodging, no more press statements, just facts. On the record.
Speaking of, in particular, Netflix docuseries that you've been working on, Did He Do It?
Right.
You've been saying for years that you feel you knew Diddy's character.
Right.
Yet you said you weren't a part of that lifestyle, you weren't going to the parties. So what makes you so absolutely sure that these kinds of allegations that we've seen against him are true?
Well, I'm surprised by the allegations, as surprised as everyone else is. Like, I didn't make the allegations. I didn't tell people to say these things. It comes out, I see it in the news like everyone else. But I did feel uncomfortable with the way he would present the idea of going to these projects.
To come party with me.
Yeah. And then that swayed me away from it. Just that alone.
So you didn't realize
as much stuff was coming. Like, when I seen today, it was allegations of 3 men that said he drugged them. And it's a long time, to be honest with you. Like, when people don't remember being violated for 20 years, it makes me feel a little hard.
What are your thoughts on the allegations against Jay-Z?
That was interesting. When I was saying things not knowing exactly what I was saying, but I was going with, like, where's Jay at? He's mad quiet. Like while the Puffy thing was going on. But it's obvious now that his team was being made aware that he was in those allegations also. So I hope it works out, because with his family, the things that go on internally is that those accusations are crazy.
One legal analyst explained it like this: in a federal investigation, you don't need to be guilty to be involved. You just need to have seen something or known something and stayed quiet. That's the angle prosecutors are likely exploring now. If Kim saw something illegal and didn't report it, her silence could be considered obstruction, even if she had no part in the crime. And Kanye, his mental health struggles might complicate things, but legally, presence is presence. If they were there, they're now part of this case, whether they want to be or not. And let's not ignore the possibility of deals being made. If prosecutors believe either of them has information that could bring down bigger names, maybe even Diddy himself, they might offer immunity in exchange for testimony. That's where things get messy, because now we're talking loyalty versus legal survival.
Before his arrest, disgraced music mogul Sean Diddy Combs was famous for holding his annual 4th of July party in the Hamptons. All of the well-known partygoers wore white, and it wasn't exactly a family-friendly event. Now imagine you're a 6-year-old kid and you find yourself a guest there. Allison Hall has more.
Can you believe this 6-year-old boy was once a guest at Diddy's infamous white party? The disgraced mogul has his arm draped around a young Justin Livtoski back in 1999. Justin is now 31 and tells Inside Edition about taking that photo.
He put his arm around me in an uncomfortable way, close to areas that you shouldn't as a grown man.
He recalls what he saw at the party.
So I remember marijuana, and topless women. That's the 2 main things that I remember.
So, how'd he end up there? Well, his father, David Allen, was Diddy's photographer, snapping pictures of partygoers in the Hamptons. Justin's mom, Maya, was also there. She says the party was family-friendly at first, but then turned raunchy.
People were getting high. There were girls swimming topless, young-looking girls that were, not dressed. We moved to another part of the house so that he wouldn't be exposed to what was going on.
As the courtroom gears up for more revelations, the internet is already in chaos. Fans divided, trust crumbling. If you've been on social media since the footage leaked, then you already know people are split down the middle. On one side, you've got the ride or die fans defending Kim and Kanye like their lives depend on it. They're claiming it's all a setup, that it's guilt by association, and that no one should be judged for just being at the wrong place at the wrong time. But on the other side, there's a tidal wave of people demanding answers. They're pointing to old interviews, timelines, party photos, and calling out the silence. Hashtags like #Kim knew, Kanye knew, and #Diddy files are trending across TikTok and X. Everyone from commentary YouTubers to investigative bloggers is piecing together digital evidence, linking up timelines, and making their own theories.
Yeah, it's like this, like
we had a black billionaires lunch.
Black excellence, they're sitting there like, yeah. It's the billionaire brunch.
Oh,
Like,
I hate you, man. And we here together, and we gonna keep staying together. We getting tighter.
unaware of anything going on here. This is the one time I'm gonna be with you this year. Yo, I feel like I'm normal again. Get me out of here.
One viral tweet said, if Kim knew what was happening at these parties and stayed quiet, how are we still calling her a role model? It's not just fans talking. Celebs are getting dragged too. Influencers who were once connected to the Kardashian circle are being called out for staying silent. Some are posting cryptic stories. Others are just logging off completely. And you already know, silence speaks volumes. Even former Diddy collaborators are feeling the heat. A few producers and artists have started issuing vague statements like, I didn't know what was really going on. But the court of public opinion isn't playing around this time. People want names. They want accountability. And while the chaos online continues, the real storm is brewing underneath. Because this isn't just a celebrity scandal anymore.
Yeah, it's like this, like
we had a black billionaires lunch.
Black excellence, they're sitting there like, yeah. It's the billionaire brunch.
Oh,
Like,
I hate you, man. And we here together, and we gonna keep staying together. We getting tighter.
unaware of anything going on here. This is the one time I'm gonna be with you this year. Yo, I feel like I'm normal again. Get me out of here. The new lawsuit coming with Jay, the part with Jay. I go, oh shoot, like
to us, black excellence,
that had to be there.
We getting tighter. You know what I'm saying? And united we stand, and ain't nothing else.
Black excellence, they're sitting there like, yeah. It's the billionaire brunch.
Oh,
Like,
I hate you, man.
unaware of anything going on here. This is the one time I'm gonna be with you this year. Come on, bro.
It's starting to feel like something bigger is cracking open. Is this the fall of celebrity silence? At this point, it's clear. This isn't just about one leaked video or even 3 celebrities caught on tape. What we're witnessing feels like the beginning of something way bigger, like the end of an era where Hollywood stars could stay silent, look pretty, and walk away untouched. Because let's be real, if Kim Kardashian, one of the most powerful media figures on earth, is allegedly connected to a scandal this big, then the idea that fame protects you might finally be crumbling. And if Kanye, who's been spiraling in public for years, ends up being the person who accidentally pulls the curtain back, it would be the most chaotic full circle moment ever. People are asking real questions now. How many other videos are out there? Who else has stayed quiet to protect careers and contracts? And why have these secrets been allowed to exist this long? A media insider summed it up best. This isn't just a Diddy problem. This is a culture problem. It's about how many people kept quiet while the industry protected itself.
There's just been a shocking revelation from federal authorities regarding a highly private and scandalous video involving none other than Jay-Z and Beyonce, reportedly taken during a wild party hosted by Diddy. Apparently during a Homeland Security raid on Diddy's properties, some rather intriguing discoveries were made, including compromising footage featuring numerous beloved celebrities caught in scandalous situations. Speculation is rife that Diddy intentionally leaked this footage to authorities as a form of revenge against the Kardashians. starters, allegedly due to their perceived lack of support during his legal battles. It seems he's on a mission to embarrass them at any cost. Adding fuel to the fire, an unsettling audio clip allegedly featuring Meek Mill and Diddy has surfaced, courtesy of Diddy's former bodyguard.
We could be watching the beginning of a real shift, where even the most untouchable stars are finally held to the same standards as everyone else. No more sealed tapes, no more legal shields, no more pretending, because the world saw one video and it shook everything. The question now is what comes next? And who's brave enough to speak before they're exposed? So now we know Kim, Kanye, and Diddy are all allegedly connected, and this video might just crack the whole case wide open. What do you think is really going on? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned, because this story is far from over.